Hello there, my name is Todd Noack, and I am what's called a WRAP facilitator. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about what WRAP is. WRAP was a really good tool, and it still is a really good tool in my life to help me stay well, to help me know that recovery is possible, to have hope that recovery is possible. Um, I've taught a few classes now. With many people and usually do it on an 8 week, 2 hour a day, 8 week course. Um, but WRAP stands for Wellness Recovery Action Planning. It was developed by Mary Ellen Copeland. And again, it just goes through a lot of ways to be able to stay well. Um, it helps you know that recovery is possible. It does a lot of things to help you advocate for yourself. And I like to say the P stands for personal responsibility. So, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the foundational principles of wellness recovery action planning. The first is hope. You know, a lot of times when we're dealing with depression, when we're dealing with physical pain, um, we tend to lose hope and do not know that hope is there. And hope is something that you have to first believe that you can have hope. You have to then set goals for what hope is going to be in your life. And you have to keep believing. You have to keep believing that hope is possible. And the way to do that is to have a lot of support in your life. Sometimes people don't have a lot of supporters in their life, and WRAP, along with hope, can help you find who your supports can actually be. Sometimes we think we don't have support, but support is right there next to us. And in having hope, the next thing we want to do is we want to take on personal responsibility. This is our recovery, whatever that recovery is about. I know for me, just to tell you a little bit about me, I have dealt with 3 back surgeries, 2 new knees, and a neck replacement. And so for me, hope was really a challenge. Hope that I'm going to make it through, hope that this surgery is going to work. But I was able to find that hope through WRAP. And then I was able to take on that personal responsibility and take action towards my own goals and make good choices. For my physical pain, it dealt a lot with depression. You know, when you're dealing with physical pain, I think of people with physical pain, think of people with cancer, think of people with diabetes. That can lead to a lot of our depression in our society. And people tend to lose that hope. But with personal responsibility, you can set the goal that hope is possible. You can make good choices, whether it's you have diabetes, whether it's physical chronic pain. You can make them choices to know that recovery is possible and hold yourself accountable through that. The next piece is you want to have good education. Education is very valuable when you're dealing with any challenge, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually. Education is something that is a key factor to help you move in your recovery. You want to get good information about what it is you're going through. If you're going through depression, you want to get good information about what is depression, where did it come from, what the factors are with depression, what are some of the things that can help me as far as you know, medication, the right therapist, the right psychiatrist. And the same goes with your physical pain. I'm thinking of myself, with my physical pain. The education piece was what's going to work for me when I'm going through all this pain. And a lot of that was setting in place doctors, my family doctor, my pain doctor. And part of that education was therapy. What is a good physical therapy for me? You want to get that good information, and then you want to use that information to make wise and very good decisions. The next piece I'm going to talk about is self-advocacy. You noticed how I said you want to find the right doctors, you want to find the right medication, you want to find the right people to support you. Well, the way you get that is by advocating for yourself. Communicate effectively. Tell people, this is what I don't understand, and I want to understand it. And if you do understand something, but somebody's telling you otherwise, that's a time where we come in and change methods based on different situations. So maybe my therapist is telling me that I need to do something that is just like far-fetched and out there and not going to work for me. And I need to advocate for myself and tell them, I don't believe that that's going to work for me. This is what I believe is going to work for me. This is the hope that I have. I'm taking responsibility. I did this education. Now let me show you what it is that I want to work on. Remember, this is your recovery. You own this. The WRAP is made for you, by you, from you. So you want to make sure that you're advocating for what it is that you want, but getting that good education piece. And then the final principle is support. You want to lean on others for encouragement. You want to reach out and depend on others to hold you accountable. You want to reach out and depend on others to hold that hope for you, maybe when you cannot hold that hope any longer. I think about my recovery and when the depression took into the darkness. I want to be honest with you all and tell you that I had support. I had support through my family. I had support through my friends. I had support through my church. But when I was in that darkness, I didn't reach out to that support. So support is out there. It is out there. You just have to know who the right supports are. And like I said, for me, it was church members, it was my pastor, it was my family, it was my friends. You just have to know that you have the right support. And when you depend on others to hold that hope for you, you want to make sure that they are going to support you through your whole recovery. You want to make sure that they understand that you have this hope to be this person that can go on in life and have recovery. That recovery is in your life and it is going to work. And again, for me, it was important to have at least 5 supports out there. Because for me, with the chronic pain, if I called one person and bugged them all the time, they're going to get tired of that and they're no longer going to be my supports. So for me, I've kind of made it a method to really inform people to have at least 5 supports in their system. The reason being is you don't want to bog one person down. And here's the thing you want to think about when you have 5 supports. You may have one person that can support you for your education, one person that can support you through your finances, one person that can support you through your doctors, one person that can support you through same kind of lived experience that you're going through. These are all things that are really important. It's really important to have a support for each piece of what your recovery looks like. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about when I do a WRAP class. And I talk about what support means to me, what hope means to me. I like to do this in a 2-hour class where people don't have to spend a whole day away from something because we have busy lives. So I usually do it for 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. And the first day that they come, what they're going to do is they're going to get an overview. They're going to get an introduction to WRAP. What is WRAP about? What is Wellness Recovery Action Plan? We're going to get together. We're going to know the concepts of what WRAP is, about the hope, about the self-advocacy, about the support, about the education, and we're going to make them feel comfortable. We're going to make them feel comfortable because we're going to tell them that WRAP is something that they're going to develop. It's not something that I'm going to develop or tell them that they have to do, because we have enough people that tell us what we have to do. We're going to say, what would you like your life to look like 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? And then we're going to get in and build a safety agreement. Excuse me. We're going to make sure that everybody feels safe in the space that they are, and that we can depend that when we leave here, that nothing is said about us without us, that nothing is discussed about us without us. We're going to come up with some ways that we can feel safe in that group. And then I'm going to go through these foundational principles of wellness that I just went through with you. On the second week is when we really start getting into the meat. We're going to talk about a wellness toolbox. We're going to say, what is in your toolbox that you have right now to stay well? For me, it was many things. For me, it was knowing that I had my family behind me. They're part of my wellness toolbox. Knowing that I had people from my church in my wellness toolbox. That was really awesome. But also knowing that inside my wellness toolbox, I had other pieces to stay well. Some of them other pieces might be going for a walk, listening to music, going for a bike ride, going to the gym. Many things can be put in your wellness toolbox. I mean, it can overflow. The more you have, sometimes the better your recovery's going to work. So, wellness toolbox to me was just them things that I need to stay well on a daily basis. It could also, in your wellness toolbox, you could have that medication. For me to stay well, you think about people that smoke. I'm a smoker. Is part of smoking a wellness tool? For me, no. But it's what I need to get by right then. It's not a good wellness tool, but it's something that I recognize, something that I take ownership in, and something that I know that, you know what, maybe I'm doing this to stay well, but it's not really a wellness tool. So instead of maybe smoking a cigarette, what I could do is I could go for a walk, or I could work in the garden, or I could go for a bike ride, or I could call a friend. So then on week 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, what do you like when you are well? And when I say, what do you like when you're well, it's knowing their daily maintenance plan. So what do you do to stay well every day? Well, part of my daily maintenance plan for me is getting up when the birds are chirping. I just got to get up when the birds are chirping. Excuse me. I got to know that I'm up, I'm ready to go, and I'm going to plan my day. Some of the other things I'm going to do is right away when I get up, I'm going to get up and take my medication, because I know I have to do that. That's part of my daily maintenance plan. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set out what it is I'm going to wear for the day. After I have that, I'm going to get my shower. If I need to shave, I'm going to shave. I need to brush my teeth, get in the shower, get out, and then I'm going to start my day. Part of my daily maintenance plan is going through my calendar and seeing what my day is like. Now, I've come to use my WRAP to know that doing this, I cannot overfill my calendar. So I make sure that what's on my calendar is a doable thing that I'm going to be able to get done. It also includes maybe saying hello to my wife and saying I love you. And that's part of me staying well. My daily maintenance plan, telling my wife that I do love her. And telling my kids that I love them. Maybe if I have pets, I feed my pets before I start my day. If I have fish, maybe I feed the fish. If I have plants, maybe I feed the plants. But it's all them things that I need to do to stay well. So when I get to week 4, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about triggers. Triggers are something that it may be a place, a person, a smell, a day, um, things that can trigger you. But for me, things that were triggering for me was, for instance, when I had to redo my WRAP plan, was anniversary dates. Anniversary dates were my mother's birthday and the day that my mother passed away. These dates are something that I know is going to be coming, and they're triggering. And how do I get through that trigger? So I make an action plan. I know this is triggering to me because it's my mom's birthday and she's no longer here. So what I might do to get through that trigger is I might go to her gravesite and I might put some flowers there, or I may go and do something special for myself and know that my mom is sitting right next to me, and when I am going through that trigger, knowing that it's okay, mom is there with me. Triggers may be a sense of smell. Maybe for somebody that had a traumatic thing happen to them, maybe it was a person that did something traumatic to another person. So that person may have been wearing a certain cologne. It may be that cologne that somebody's wearing. It may be the clothes. It may be the facial features. But them are all triggers that affect us emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And how am I going to react when that trigger happens? Then we get into the early warning signs. So my early warning signs tell me that I know this anniversary date's coming and I'm going to be triggered. So again, what I do is I plan for that. What are some special things I'm going to do for me knowing that that date's coming up? Early warning signs can be something that maybe a coworker or maybe a friend or a family says, hey, I've noticed this, Todd. Usually you get up when the birds are chirping and you feed the cats and you tell me you love me, but you've been getting up late, you haven't told me you love me, and the cats haven't been getting fed. Them are all early warning signs that maybe you or your family member or your friend can notice about you, that something's just not right. Maybe I didn't take my medication that day. These are all early warning signs that something is going on. And you need to maybe go back to that wellness toolbox or check in with that supporter that you have. And this is very important that you have that support for that early warning sign. Because if you don't have support when you're going through that early warning sign, it can lead to things breaking down. And that's what I talk about in week 6, is when things are breaking down. Or maybe when things are getting worse. When things are breaking down, here's what I do. I think of having these supporters available. When things are breaking down, I need that support. When things are breaking down or they're getting worse, who do I call? Where do I go? And it can be who you call, who's your support, but it can also be where you go. Do you go to the gym when things are breaking down? Is it breaking down so much that you can't go to the gym? Do you need to maybe call a local respite house? Or do you need to go to a wellness center where you can be around peer support specialists that can support you with what is going on right now? Or do you need to go to the hospital? And if you do need to go to the hospital when things are breaking down, making sure you have a plan in place of what hospital it is you want to go to. Because maybe you were not treated so well at hospital A, and now you want to go to hospital B. You need to let your supporters know, hey, when things are breaking down, don't send me to hospital A. Let me go to hospital B. When things are breaking down or worse, you want to get these action plans going. And these are all things, the when things are breaking down, when early warning signs, the triggers, your daily maintenance plan. These are all things that you want to do when you're doing well. Because if you try to figure out a WRAP for you when you're not doing well, that WRAP is probably not going to work. So when you get through when things are breaking down, then we go into crisis planning. When I do get into a crisis, who do I call? Again, who do I call? Where do I go? What is that crisis going to look like? Who's going to take care of my animals for me? Who's going to make sure my bills are paid? These are all things you want to do when you're well, planning for when that crisis would happen. And again, not saying that we want a crisis to happen, but we're saying when that crisis would happen, what do I want to be in place? Who do I want to be in place? Who's going to do A? Who's going to do B? I may want to have Joe go over and feed the animals. I may want to have Jim pick up the kids from daycare from my wife. I may want my mom to be able to give a ride to my wife to get to work. These are all things you want to do in that crisis planning. And then we get into the final one, is the post-crisis planning. So when we get through that crisis, it's not over. Whatever it was that set us off is still going to be there a little bit. And if we don't work on that post-crisis, that whole crisis can restart. So you want to make sure after your post-crisis plan, part of your post-crisis plan, you want to be, so what am I going to do now that I'm out of the hospital to make sure that I stay well? Am I going to take these medications that were prescribed to me? Am I going to have this doctor's appointment? Am I going to keep it? These are all things you want to do in that post-crisis. You want to make sure that these supporters are around you to support you through you getting out of the hospital. Maybe you don't have your mom stop taking your wife to work. Maybe you don't have Joe stop feeding the animals, because you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself because you just went through a traumatic event. So these are all things that when you're planning that post-crisis, these are all things you want to plan out in your WRAP. So what I'm hoping today is that you did get an overview of WRAP and what WRAP can do for somebody. I know WRAP has been a big benefit in my life. I got to tell you that with WRAP, it's really just been something that's been helpful for me, not just physically, emotionally, but also spiritually. Again, this is Todd Noack, and I thank you for your time today.